Well, Kaizer Chiefs finished last season on a disappointing note, only managing to finish 10th, and will be looking to turn things around this coming season. They've added new faces to the playing and coaching staff, with the Chiefs hierarchy bringing in Nazruddin Nabi to guide the ship. Now, joining us in studio to share Amakhosi's plan for the upcoming season is Marketing Director and Sporting Director of the club, of course, Jessica Motaung and Kaizer Motaung Jr. Thank you so much for making time for us here on the AM Report. Jessica, I know it's been quite a busy time. You've been in and out of the country preparing for pre-season, but how ready would you say you are as Amakhosi to kick the season off?
I think we're very ready. First of all, thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure to be in the studio. Very ready. I mean, a great pre-season. As you say, a lot of work's been done behind the scenes to make sure that the team is ready. Technically, there's a new technical team. And obviously on our side, we launched our new jerseys and ready really to have a great time. And also the Toyota Cup, which was fabulous in Bloemfontein. And really the team has been working very, very hard.
Yeah, and I want to take things back a bit, because in the intro I was speaking about a disappointing season for many of the Amakhosi faithful, finishing in 10th place, no silverware. What has that done for you as the technical team of the side and management, rather, of Kaizer Chiefs, in terms of lessons learned and what it is that you're willing to do to make sure you get that faith back?
Thanks, Andy, for having us this morning. I think, yeah, big lessons learned. 10th place, totally unacceptable. I think a lot of our supporters were hurt last year. Us as an institution, we were hurt last year. And I think we really have an important time of introspection. The biggest answer was to go and reinvest in the squad, reinvest in the plan, reinvest in the technical team. And I think this is the first time in our history we've had a technical team of this nature, of this caliber, and also, 5 internationals coming in to begin a totally new project. So I think it's a big call that we have to answer. And I think with our time that we've spent to look at what we really need, I think we've answered a lot of the questions so far. Of course, it's a process. People always talk about a project and building, but to be very fair and very honest, this is exactly what we're doing, and we're doing it from the ground up.
And sizable investment. I think very key for us was to make sure we make key financial investment, institutional investment, resources that are necessary to take us to the next level.
And if you're looking then at what you've been able to bring into the team and your pre-season, first question many would have been asking is, why the cloud of secrecy? There was a lot of people wanting to know what's happening in Kaizer Chiefs. When you went to Turkey, there was no media really allowed. Was this important for you to perhaps get things right, fix things behind closed doors first, and then come out when you feel that you're confident enough to share what your vision is?
No, it was very much a conscious decision. I mean, we had a technical staff, and our situation was very unique. Our coach joined us later because he was also, had requirements to finish his cup final in Morocco. So obviously, technical staff members came before. Turkey was meant to be a very intimate, intense 3-week project for us to begin our pre-season. So it was intentional. We had to get the group together. We wanted to get them away from any distractions and be in a setting where we can really just set the foundation for the season ahead. So I think it worked very much in our favor. Of course, we're having technical players now who are joining the team a bit later, but it was very much conscious decision so we can just get back onto the right track.
And I want to zone in on the players. You're talking about joining a bit later. Of course, the big news, your latest signings in Bradley Cross and in Njabulo Blom.
Yeah.
How did that come about, Blom in particular? Was it a case of him saying, well, I've been having a tough season, I'd like to come back? Or was it Kaizer Chiefs saying, well, we need a player like you and we believe that you could add something, so we are going to make the offer and see if Njabulo is going to join us?
No, we've been having since the technical staff began. They were very clear on the game model that they want to set up and how the style of play that we want to play and the kind of players that requires. So from the onset, from even before we went to Turkey, we were very aware of the positions that we needed to reinforce. And the 6 was one where, given the style of play that we want to inject into the team this season, was quite pivotal and quite important for us. So we had many names on our squad audit list, and of course Njabulo was one that's always been, they've always been monitoring Njabulo. He's always been part of the family. We've followed him in his time in the MLS as it was anyway, and I think it's just a matter of great timing, and of course, he had a different direction that he wanted to take in the MLS. And with Brad, the same. Brad was a kind of profile, very educated player, captain of Newcastle under 21s before, comes from a very great foundation, played time in Germany, a leader, a captain, technically very sound, and those are the kind of players that the coach is really looking for. So we're very calculated in our steps, and of course we're still not done in the transfer market. This is a process that won't take one window to solve. We know we're not going to solve your problems or achieve your goals in one transfer window. So this is the first step. and I think there's many more to come.
I can tell you a lot of supporters are going to be excited with the prospect of having more signings. And Jessica, I want to bring you in here because obviously with building a team, you'll have players coming in and you'll also have players going out. Itumeleng Khune has been in the spotlight. You've made some comments around his future, perhaps clarifying that he won't play a role on the field of play. So let's get your thoughts then on what role Itumeleng Khune is going to play going forward.
Well, Itu is a big part of the Chiefs family, and we're proud of his contribution to Kaizer Chiefs and really see the value that he can bring to the team on another level. We're busy in discussions right now. We have some key meetings scheduled for next week to discuss his role as an ambassador and what he can bring to the party. Very excited about that. I mean, I was just overseas now, actually studying the models internationally in terms of ambassadorial roles that players have played. And I'm just so excited, and I'm hoping we can reach an agreement in terms of what Itu can do. Also, I see a lot for him in the broadcast space and in other spaces because he's just got such immense talent, having been in the space, not just at a footballing level, but exposed to the business of football. So we're in good discussions, and I'm hoping we can find a way forward.
Is there consensus, though, in terms of the role to be played? I'm sure you're looking at other options, but is he feeling like he wants to play a role in those places that you might have identified, or is the sentiment still that he would have wanted to continue as a player? What are the discussions happening in that regard?
Well, I think any player wants to continue playing, you know, but I think Itu understands that this is the next stage that he's going through, and I think our discussions will be fruitful.
All right. Well, let's look at other players because, of course, it's been a busy transfer market and you had an opportunity perhaps to get the likes of Kaizer Motaung. That didn't happen. That didn't materialize. Elias Mokwane as well. Can you let us in perhaps in terms of the discussions there and the reason why those did not come to fruition?
I think there's many factors. At the end of the day, I think you have to have two willing parties to be able to transact. At the same time, top teams also don't want to release their best players. This is also, you know, it's natural. And also clubs have their own strategy. You know, I don't know, with both the players you've mentioned, Elias and Mayo, I mean, I know the clubs had their first preference was to take them overseas, you know, and there are various reasons for that there commercially. So we also understand that. And from our side, we had identified the attributes of the players that we need. Those are two names that fitted into certain positions. We had made our offers. It just didn't transpire at the time. But I think there's many more other candidates that we're looking to bring in to reinforce. And it's just part of the game, I think, in the markets and what objectives clubs want to achieve. You know, so they obviously had their targets, and we'll look for other targets and great players, and we wish them all the best. And
for the perception then that perhaps it was down to finances, are you saying that wasn't the case? It was just the preference was the players perhaps to go overseas and it had nothing to do with the asking price not being matched on the side of Kaizer Chiefs?
No, nothing at all. I mean, we've had great dealings with Mr. John Comitis from Cape Town City. It was a pleasure also to engage on Mayo. The same can be said with Skokune. We have a great working relationship with them. We had made a great transaction with Yusuf Mart before. So it was literally about if I can say, just the finer details and just the decision making, because we did match the price for Mayo. With Elias, we also believe we put a very competitive offer down. And at the end of the day, you know, the decision lies with you know, various other parties. So it's also great to see that our players going into the North African market. You know, so at the same time, they're flying the South African flag high, and we wish them all the best. It only enhances the national team, and also advertises our league in a very, very positive way.
But I think also what's important to emphasize is the chairman and the board and management are clear about the investments that are needed, and the football department have had the financial support. So, you know, we've matched many of the offers. In some cases, people have obviously opted for the direction they want to take.
And you're talking about players perhaps going to North Africa, and I think that's good for the brand of Kaizer Chiefs as well. But speaking of the brand, Jessica, what is the general feeling around African competition for the club? Is that a priority? Is that something that you will then be looking to get into a bit more intentionally going forward?
Definitely, very important, very top on our radar. In fact, that's why we put together the Toyota Cup, to make sure that that's a tournament where we will be playing African teams of good caliber and making sure that we really increase our profile within the African space. So very excited, and thank you to our supporters who came to Bloemfontein in numbers.
The other part that you've been looking to perhaps grow in terms of development is women's football. We saw during the week perhaps a number of people speaking about Kaizer Chiefs going into correctional centres, helping women footballers there. But what is the plan with regards to your own female football team? Because if you have a vision to go into African football, we do know that there's a requirement that you have a female football team?
Very big vision for us to do that, and we're working behind the scenes. I think there's also industry things that we've put on the table that need to evolve and change to allow the women's game to grow, and that's something I'm working quite extensively on. I'm on the SAFA Women's Football Committee as well as on the CAF Women's Football Committee. Some of those insights I'm bringing back home to make sure that we can pave the way, not just for Kaizer Chiefs to be in the space, but for other clubs to do that. And there are a number of factors that are hindering that process, but certainly working very hard to make that happen. And that's why we're working at every level, grassroots and in other spaces, to make sure that we get to having a team.
In practical terms then, what does this mean? What is the roadmap looking like? When can one expect Kaizer Chiefs to have a female team?
I'm not going to give you a deadline today, but certainly say that it's one of the key projects on the radar, and Kaizer knows that also.
Right, let's talk about the technical team then, because that's also been an area of sharp focus. Nazruddin Nabi coming into the side. Why that particular candidate? And perhaps if we had to take things back, why at this time? Because I suppose this wasn't the first time that Kaizer Chiefs had shown interest in Nabi, and it seems the terms were quite similar. Why is it that it wasn't a good decision or didn't materialize back then, and now was the time that you thought, well, Nazruddin Nabi can come along?
Well, first and foremost, on the first question, I think Coach Nabi is, for me, it's been a pleasure to be working with a coach like him. I think there's massive alignment in terms of the kind of football that our supporters identify with. The way that they want to see the team play is exactly his foundation and his game model. I think from the first time we were engaged, we'd always known that this is a candidate who could fit the brand of football that we need, and also help us change the mentality within the team, within the club. And I think it's just a case of timing. Obviously, there's many other factors as to why the project didn't begin. I think it was last year. We're just very, very fortunate to look now and focus on the future and look forward with the coach. And I think that him being able to bring also even more technical staff members this time around, it just worked out, I think, in a better way than it would have last time. I think bringing internationals into the country, having them settle down, understand the culture, understand the country, the ways of working. It's a process, and I think definitely in terms of this footballing prowess and how he prepares his team, it's a massive alignment that made the decision very easy.
And this is going to raise a question, I suppose, with many followers of South African football, because we've seen a move from having, an individual coach that comes in perhaps with an assistant to a move to having an entire technical team. So let's fast forward. Should things not work out, and no, we're not being prophets of doom, and Coach Nabi says, okay, well, maybe it's time to move on, or Kaizer Chiefs decides to sever the ties, is the expectation that the technical team then will leave with him? Or what are the discussions around that and how that's looking? Is it a package deal, or is it each individual with their own terms?
Everybody comes on their own terms to represent the club. No, it's not a group that work together. It's not. Everyone comes, and if you sit down and you're sitting before the board and the chairman, you're coming to represent yourself and represent this club. So I think we've got great professionals. Everyone's there within their own rights to come and contribute to the project, contribute to the history of the team and the legacy. And we're just very blessed, I think, to find the timing to have the individuals available at the time that they are. But it's very much, every man is there to produce and work for the club, and what happens in the future happens.
And now it's going to be that horrible question of the mandate. What is it that the coach has been asked to deliver to Amakhosi? If you've gone a number of seasons, no silverware, I suppose that would be part of it, but what are the exact terms that you'd be evaluating the success of the coach on?
So that's a very important question, and it's very important that our supporters also understand and come with us on the journey, right? When we say it's a process and we're starting to build a foundation, we literally mean that. We understand exactly where we were last year and what it's going to take to be able to change that on a sustainable basis. We're not looking for short-term success. We know we've got short-term goals, medium-term goals, and things we have to achieve, and a cup here. No, we're looking to say, what is it that's going to make this team turn around completely? So we have looked at the investment we have to make in the squad, and what's that going to take. And of course, we want to get back into Africa, but getting back into Africa means you have to have the right pillars to be sustainable there, because Africa is a very tough space. So the coach is very clear that we need to rejuvenate the squad, and as you can see, that's been the first project that we've embarked on. Trying to rejuvenate the squad, get the right quality, be able to have use the windows that we have to be able to turn that squad into a very competitive team, and to reassess and evaluate next season as to the next challenges.
And are you confident then that you are settled in terms of the technical team? Because you've had one other big scalp in Tera Maliwa
Yes.
joining in terms of scouting and what he brings. Are you confident that you've got a good team, or are you still looking to reinforce in terms of the support staff that you can get into Amakhosi?
I think if you look back, even from the time before we even engaged Coach Nabi, recruitment was a big part and a big strategy the club wanted to make a big step in. Because without a very successful recruitment, I think that forms a base for the strength of your squad.
Yeah.
I think bringing Terry in has been a massive stroke, and we're very privileged to have him with us. And I think, again, it lays the foundation for long-term success. You know, you're not going to be able to recruit all the best players in one short period. His task is also to recruit for the youth teams. So it's a very much a long-term project. And I think one of the steps that show our intention in strengthening this team and the structure of the club.
Plus also, I think, Kaizer, we also understand that our development academy is also important and making sure that we have that pipeline. But going back to the coaches, I think what's important is understanding the fact that they're also competitive. They don't come here not to compete, you know. And I think that there's an energy of saying we want to be an excellent team that takes this brand to the next level.
And as we wrap up then, I suppose, for the fans, the supporters of Kaizer Chiefs who are watching, they were hoping to get a more direct answer in terms of what the mandate is and what the club is going to produce. But as a form of encouragement then, what do you think, or what have you put down as where you want to finish as a club and what you think would make the fans happy? If you tick those boxes this season, you'll go, well, I'm happy, and I believe our supporters are happy with what we've presented.
We all know the fans want to celebrate a trophy. We all know this is a team that's built on success. We know that that will always be. This is a big club. This is an institution. You know, we want cup success. We want league success. You want to play on the continent. But what will make us happy is for us to be able to play the brand of football that they want to identify with, show a winning mentality, and leave every single drop on that field for the Amakhosi faithful, and we can sit back and look and say, well, you know, we've given our best. So of course this is an institution that is prides itself on winning, but we are taking the steps that will make sure that we can get there sustainably.
And we can only do it with supporters.
Yeah.
Our supporters also need to come to the party. The team needs to be supported positively to make sure that they get the best out of them.
Well, the supporters are going to get excited hearing what the big plans are for Kaizer Chiefs. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, that is Jessica Motaung, as well as Kaizer Jr. Motaung of Kaizer Chiefs, just sharing their plans then as they look ahead to their new season, one that they're hoping will have a silverware. That's where we'll leave your sport for now. Let's go for a breather. The AM report continues at the top of the hour.